Algebra 1, Test 15, got through lesson 4.6. We're graphing lines using slope-intercept form. First section tells you to find the slope and y-intercept of the line. We learned this week that slope-intercept form is y is equal to mx plus b. So what we want to do is we want to take that form and compare it to the order it's in, y equals mx plus b. That is in slope-intercept form. So you have to remember at this point which one is your slope and which one is your y-intercept. Your slope is the thing that multiplies by x. It's the m value. Think of slopes of a mountain. That starts with an m. So your slope for this one is 4 over 3. Your y-intercept is the b value, which is not 1. It is negative 1 is your y-intercept. Remember, the sign goes along with it. Number 2, when you compare y equals mx plus b to it, is not in slope-intercept form. So what we need to do is we need to move it into slope-intercept form so we can determine what both of those are. So we want to move over first is we want to move over or undo the addition and subtraction to get y equals mx plus b. That's what we are trying to get ultimately at the end. Y is equal to that. In order to get that, we need to move over the 12x. It's positive or plus 12x. So you need to subtract 12x to move it over. When you subtract it on the left, you need to do likewise on the right. Now, that doesn't give you any version of the number 48 because 60 cannot subtract 12x because they're not like terms. What it does leave you with on the left, though, is 3y. And on the right, we'll have negative 12x followed by positive 60. Remember, get in the habit at that point of writing the x term first. Last thing you have to do to get y all by itself is divide by 3 to cancel out this multiply by 3. When you divide by 3, you divide all the terms by 3. Negative 12x divided by 3 is negative 4x, and 60 divided by 3 is positive 20. Again, comparing y equals mx plus b to it, your m value, or your slope in this case, is negative 4. Your y value, or your b value, or your y-intercept is positive 20. So there's your slope and your y-intercept. Y equals mx plus b. Number 3 says use the slope and y-intercept to graph the equation. Y is equal to mx plus b. So we know what our b value is. It is negative 4. B is negative 4. B tells us where to begin. That is our y-intercept. So on our y-axis, we want to begin at negative 4. Negative 1, 2, 3, 4. That is the point where it's going to cross through the y-axis. Your m, or your slope value, is negative 1/2. Negative 1 over 2. M tells you where to move. That is your slope. It tells you where to move. Remember, slope is rise over run. Rise means up or down. It is what an elevator does. Negative 1 tells you to go down 1. Positive 2 tells you to go right 2. Because your positive numbers are here, your negative numbers are here. On your y-axis, your positives are up and your negatives are down. So from the point that we already created at negative 4, we will go down 1 time. And we will go to the right once, twice. And that's where we will put our second point right there. Now that we have 2 points, we want to draw a line through both of those points. And I'll extend it just to make it a little straighter, that's all. So there is the graph of your equation for y equals negative 1/2 x minus 4. Number 4 asks you to find the x and y intercepts. In order to find the x-intercept, you're going to plug in 0 in place of the opposite one, y. So 2x plus 3 times 0 will eliminate that part of the problem because it'll be like plus 0 is equal to negative 18. So 2x is equal to negative 18. To get your x-intercept, you divide both sides by 2. Your x-intercept is negative 9. That's where it crosses through the x-axis. In order to find your y-intercept, you're going to plug in 0 for the opposite one, x. So 2 times x will be like 2 times 0, which will eliminate that, plus 3y equals negative 18. Again, in order to get y's value, divide by 3. When you do it to one side, do it to the other side. Y equals a negative divided by a positive is a negative. 18 divided by 3 is 6. So there is your x-intercept negative 9 and your y-intercept negative 6. We can do likewise with number 5. In order to find your x-intercept, you plug in 0 here. What that leaves you with is 5x. The y is gone, is equal to 120. When you divide by 5, 5 goes into 12. It goes into 10 twice, and there's 2 left over. 5 goes into 20 4 times. So your x-intercept is 24. Your y-intercept is plugging in 0 for x. So that will eliminate that part and leave you with negative 3y is equal to 120. Divide by negative 3 on both sides to get y by itself. Y is equal to a positive divided by negative. Again, is a negative. 3 goes into 12 4 times and into 10 0 times. So y equals negative 40. So there's your x-intercept and your y-intercept. Number 6 and 7 asks you to find the rate of change for the situation. It says you run 5 miles in 1 hour and 20 miles in 4 hours. So miles per hour is what it's going to wind up being. So right here we have 1 hour, that's 1 hour, and 4 hours, that's 4 hours. So if this is y sub 1 and y sub 2, since those are the numbers that came second, your slope formula tells you to do the change of y sub 2 minus y sub 1, over the change of x sub 2 minus x sub 1. Y sub 2 in this case is 4 minus y sub 1 is 1. Your miles, on the other hand, 5 miles will be your x sub 1, and 20 miles will be your x sub 2. So x sub 2 in this case is 20 miles minus x sub 1 is 5 miles. When you do your change of miles, I have everything backwards, excuse me. I had everything upside down. This is fine. This has to go to the bottom, and this, now we got it right. Now your miles and your hours match. But anyways, when we simplify it at this point, 20 minus 5 is 15 miles, and 4 minus 1 is 3 hours. So we have 15 divided by 3. The number 3 can go into these. It can go into itself 1 time, and into 15 3 times. So what we have is 3 miles per 1 hour. And that is your rate of change. Slope plus units, 3 miles per hour. And I messed up again. The number 3 is the number that goes into itself. I knew something was a little bit different right there. Down here at the bottom, the number 3 goes into itself. This is correct, 1. The number 3 goes into 15, not 3 times. It goes into 15, yeah. It goes into 15 5 times. I knew something looked a little funny. 5 miles per 1 hour. Now we got it right. 5 miles per 1 hour. Number 7 says a chef cooks 9 pounds of chicken for 36 people, 17 pounds for 68 people. Again, same problem set up exactly. X sub 1, Y sub 1, X sub 2, Y sub 2, this one here. So your change of Y over your change of X. 68 minus 36. This is the people. Over 17 minus 9. This is the pounds of chicken. So 68 minus 36. 8 minus 6 is 2. 6 minus 3 is 30. So 32 people get 17 minus 9 is 8 pounds of chicken. So we can simplify this. 32, number 8 goes into itself once and into 32 4 times. So what this is saying is 4 people share 1 pound of chicken, or 1 pound of chicken for every 4 people. There's your rate of change. Number 8 and 9 ask you to find the slope of these lines based on the picture. What you need to do is you need to find 2 good intersections. What I mean by that is you don't want to use this point right there, because you can clearly see that that point, its y value is 3, but its x value is in between these two x values. So don't use that one. Use intersections that are clearly an x and a y value. This is a good intersection because it's clearly its x value is -2 and its y value is 4. You can see that clearly. Another good one to use would be this one here. It is clearly 0 as its x and 1 as its y value. That's that one. So remember what slope is. Slope is rise over run. How many times does it go up and down? We could see this, that this graph is falling. We could see it's going down. Over how many times does it go left or right? Remember, if you always start as far left as you can go, you'll never have a negative number on the bottom. It'll always be positive. So from that point, we have to go down. Just count them. 1 time, 2 times, 3 times. Down 3 means -3. And we're going to the right 1 time, 2 times. To the right is going to be +2. There is your slope right there. -3 over 2. Remember, M represents slope. Number 9, we can clearly see that this graph is rising. Again, pick 2 good intersections. Here is a good intersection. Here is a good intersection. They have others. This one might be considered a good intersection. And let's count how many times we have to go up. Let's go from this one to the middle one. Up 1, up 2, up 3. +3. To the right, 1, 2, 3, 4. To the right, 4. Your slope then is rise over run, 4 over 3. Let's say you picked a different set of points. Let's say instead of using that middle one, you use this one up here. You would have to count up 1, up 2, up 3, up 4, up 5, up 6 would be +6. To the right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. To the right, 8. What number goes into both 6 and 8? It goes into 6 3 times, and it goes into 8 4 times. Notice it simplifies back to the same 3 over 4. So as long as you use good intersections, there's multiple ones you can use. 3 over 4 is what you need to have for the slope because you need the simplified version. This one asks you to find the slope. Remember what slope is, the change of y. It's y sub 2 minus y sub 1. -3 minus 7 over x sub 2 minus x sub 1. 6 minus 5. Negative 3 minus 7, same sign. Add them up. Negative 10. 6 minus 5 is 1. This simplifies. You don't have to write anything over 1 to negative 10. Number 11 says the student finds the slope of the line between 7, 9 and 17, 17. She writes 9 minus 17 over 17 minus 7. What mistake did she make? We know what our slope formula is. Slope is, M is, the change of y. Y sub 2 minus y sub 1 over x sub 2 minus x sub 1. So if you just look at this, if we label each of these as x and y, we call this one sub 1 and this one sub 2. The first thing she did wrong was she put y sub 1 first. But she could have called that second point the first point and the first point the second point. Either way, the mistake she made was she went this direction, 9 minus 17 on the top, and then she came back going this direction, 17 minus 7. That's what she cannot do. So to put that in words, she mixed up the order. She mixed up the order. She needs to follow the slope formula. Y sub 2 minus y sub 1 over x sub 2 minus x sub 1. So she should have done 9 minus 17 over 7 minus 17, or 17 minus 9 over 17 minus 7. Would have come out to be the same thing. State whether this slope is 0 or undefined. You could either memorize that vertical lines have no slope and horizontal lines are 0. This is a vertical line. Or you can compare 2 points. You can compare this point and this point. Remember what slope is. It's rise over run. This right here is going up or down, whatever you call it, 1. It's going up 1. It is not going over left or right at all. You cannot have a 0 at the bottom of a fraction, and that's why this one is undefined. Had it gone the other way, 0 would have been at the top over a number at the bottom, which would have been 0, horizontal line. Graph the linear equation. Y is equal to mx plus b. Your b value tells you where to begin. On your y-axis, begin at 1. Your m value tells you where to move. M tells you where to move. You have to see what the slope is for this one, though. It's not shown. You have to know that the number 1 is multiplying by x. So if the slope is 1, all slopes are fractions. So the only number we can put it over is over the number 1. Now it's a fraction. Rise over run tells us to go up 1 since it's positive and to go right 1 since it's positive. So from the point that we started at, where we began at positive 1, we go up 1 and we go to the right 1, and we have our second point now. And when you have 2 points, you can draw your straight line through those 2 points like so. And that graph is what y equals x plus 1 should look like. Number 14, graph this one. Y equals, again, just like a minute ago, mx plus b. B tells you where to begin. So at positive 1, 2, 3, that's where you begin. M is negative 2 over 5. Negative 2 means go up or down. Negative means go down 2. So down 1, 2. Positive 5 means go to the right 5. To the right 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's where your second point goes. When you have 2 points, you draw your straight line through those 2 points like so. And I'll just shift it over to where I know I got a straight line. That is what your graph looks like for y equals negative 2/5 x plus 3. Number 15 and 16 are graphing lines that only have one variable. Y is equal to negative 5. This is your y-axis, the one going up and down. So it's at negative 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It crosses through at that point negative 5. It means it's going to cross through at negative 5 there. It'll cross through at negative 5 here. It'll cross through at negative 5 here. So what you have is a line that looks like this, a horizontal line when y is negative 5. X, on the other hand, when it's equal to negative 4, is going to cross through at 1, 2, 3, 4. It'll cross through there at negative 4. It'll cross through here at negative 4. It'll cross all the way down here at negative 4. So x's value is negative 4 is a vertical line going like this. '17 says to solve it, then solve it for y, or get it to make it say y equals mx plus b. Once you have that, you follow m and b in order to find out how to graph it. The only thing that's off about this one from y is equal to mx plus b is 4x needs to go to the other side. It's positive 4x, which means plus 4x. You undo that by subtracting 4x here. You have to do it on the other side to balance it. Remember, you can't take 4x away from 1 because they're not like terms. We could simply write it as y is equal to negative 4x positive 1. Remember, put your mx term first. Negative 4x positive 1. So your m value now is negative 4. And your b value tells you where to begin. You begin at positive 1. So you begin on your y-axis, your y-intercept at positive 1. Remember, slopes like negative 4 that are not written in fraction form can always be made to say fraction form by putting them over 1. Once you know, now it's a fraction because it's rise over run. Negative 4 means either go up or down. Negative means to go down 4 times. So from the point we started at, down 1, down 2, 3, and 4. And 1 on the bottom tells us to go to the right 1 time, to the right 1 time. That is where our second point needs to go. Therefore, our line, when we draw it through those 2 points, will look like this. And I'll shift it. I like to do straight lines that way. Y equals negative 4x plus 1. Number 18 says x minus 3y is equal to 15. Again, doesn't say y equals mx plus b. We got to make it say that. So we want to move over positive x by subtracting it. If you do it to the left, do it to the right. Negative 3y is equal to, instead of writing 15 minus x here, I'm going to put negative x positive 15 to make it say mx plus b a little quicker. Not quite mx plus b, though. We have to get rid of negative 3 times that by dividing by negative 3. Remember to divide everything by negative 3, this and this. Negative 1 divided by negative 3 is positive 1 over 3x, and 15 divided by negative 3 is negative 5. So this is in slope-intercept form now. Y is equal to mx plus b. B's value is negative 5. So we begin at negative 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 at that point there. Our slope tells us where to move 1 over 3. It tells us to go up 1 since it's positive, to go to the right 3 since it's positive. So up 1 and to the right 1, 2, 3. There's our second point. Therefore, we can draw our straight line through those 2 points. And it'll look like that. Then we have to solve these equations. 6x minus 5 equals 5x minus 2. Variables on both sides. Collect your x's on the same side. Bring the smaller 5x over by subtracting it since it's positive. Do it here. 6x minus 5x is 1x minus 5 equals, there's still negative 2 on this side. Move negative 5 over by adding it to both sides. Opposite sign, so you subtract those. 5 minus 2 is 3. 5 is the higher absolute value. It's positive, so x is 3. For number 20, you need to combine before you try to undo anything. You have to combine your like terms, 7d, negative 3d, and negative d. So 7d minus 3d is 4d, and 4d minus d is 3d. So we have 3d plus 8 is equal to 2d. Now we have an equation that has variables on both sides again, just like number 19 was. We brought the smaller variable over the last time, but now since 8 is on the left, let's bring over 3d to the right. It's positive 3d, so you subtract it. If you subtract it on the left, do the same on the right. 2d, take away 3d is going to be negative 1d. So negative 1d is equal to positive 8. Not quite what d is equal to at the end. That's what we're trying to get. Undo negative 1 times that by dividing by negative 1. If you do it to the right, do it to the left. Opposite signs, positive 8 divided by negative 1 is going to be a negative 8. D is negative 8. 5 over 7 times x minus 4 is equal to 5. Variable's only on one side this time. Undo minus 4 first by adding 4. Remember, you work order of operations backwards. 5 over 7 times x is equal to 5 plus 4 is 9. Okay, this says 5 over 7 times x. Remember, we undo multiplication by dividing. We would divide by 5 over 7. However, dividing by a fraction is the same as multiplying by its reciprocal. Remember, that's a fancy word, just means flip it over. So if we multiply 7 over 5 times that, it cancels it out. I'm just sliding it a little bit. You have to multiply the other side by 7 over 5 as well. 7 times 9, this will cancel. X is equal to 63 on the top, and 1 times 5 is 5. 5 does not go into the number 63. Therefore, x is equal to 63 over 5. 22, 16 equals negative d plus 6. Again, undo addition and subtraction. Subtract 6 on both sides. 10 is equal to negative d, which means negative 1 times d. Undo that by dividing by negative 1. Same here. Opposite signs is going to be negative. 10 divided by 1 is negative 10. Combine your like terms before you try to undo anything. 32 and negative 15. 30 minus 15 is 15, so 32 minus 15 must be 17 plus 8n. It's equal to 105. Bring 17 over to the other side. It's positive 17, so subtract it. When you do it to the left, do likewise to the right. 15 minus 7 is 8. 9 minus 1 is 8. So you have 88 on the right is equal to 8n on the left. Get n by itself by undoing 8 times n and dividing by 8. Do it to the left, do it to the right. 88 divided by 8 is 11. N is 11. Before you try to undo anything for 24, you need to distribute. 5 times y is 5y. 5 times 7 is positive 35. That is equal to 65. Now you can start undoing. Undo addition of 35 by subtracting it. Do it here. That leaves you with 5y is equal to 30. Undo 5 times something by dividing by 5 on both sides. And y is equal to 6. 25 says 3p over 6 plus 30 is equal to 42. We want to get p equals all by itself, so undo plus 30 to start. Do it there and do it here. 3p over 6 is equal to 42 minus 30 is 12. Now this says you can do this in 2 steps or in 1 step. I'll show it in 2 steps because most people probably do it that way. Stretch it just a little bit more. So it says divided by 6 here. Undo that by multiplying it by 6. If you do it to the left, do it to the right. It'll cancel this. 6 times 2 is 12. Carry 1. 6 times 1 plus 1 is 72. So now you have 3p is equal to 72. Undo 3 times something by dividing by 3. If you do it to the left, do it to the right. 3 goes into 7 twice, and there's 1 left over. It goes into 12 4 times. So p's value is 24. Again, you can combine these 2 steps here by separating 3 over 6, 3p over 6 and making it 3 over 6p. So you could have multiplied by the reciprocal 3 over 6 is 6 over 3, or multiplied by 2. Notice 12 times 2 is, in fact, 24. 26 and 7 tell you to solve these very simple equations. Undo minus 3 by adding it to both sides. Those are opposite signs, though, so you have to subtract them. 3 and 1 gives you 2, and since 3 is the higher absolute value, it's positive 2. This says plus a negative 3. That's the same thing as minus 3. So now you got something that says m minus 3. You know how to undo that. You add 3 to both sides. Again, those are opposite signs, so that leaves you with m. Subtract them. 13 and 3 is 10, but this time 13 is the higher absolute value. It's negative, so m is negative 10. And then finally, negative 3 squared is not negative 3 times negative 3. This is a very common mistake. It's only 3 squared. 3 times 3, which gives us a 9, but then there's a negative out front that comes down to make it negative 9.